now happy to introduce my colleague Steve Lindy, the editor of the Jerusalem Report, who will moderate the panel on KKL's relocation Israel.
Welcome to Karine Bolton, the Director of International Relations at KKL-JNF, to Yitzhak Miron, the head of KKL-JNF Israel 2040, and to Dan Marom, the Chief Strategist of KKL-JNF Israel 2040. We'll start with you, Yitzhak. Tell us about KKL-JNF Israel 2040.
During the last 15 or 20 years, Israel has been known as the startup nation. And this is on the one hand. On the other hand, only 8% of this very success story has been a part of the periphery of Israel. Only the Galilee and the Negev took part in that only in 8%. And this is something that could be a threat strategically to the state of Israel, to its future. And therefore, KKL initiated a plan which is called Israel 2040, aimed at relocating about 1.5 million people, mainly during the next 20 years, obviously, aiming at bringing more and more young people to the periphery, to the Galilee and the Negev, and to strengthen the demographic and economic situation in these areas. And the way that KKL decided to do that is very unique, I would say, not typical to the daily basis, daily business of KKL, which is forestation and buying land and these kind of things, but through the success story, the economic success story of Israel during the 15 years, which is the high-tech activity. About 40% of Israel export is regarding to the high-tech activity, and it is very important, therefore. And as I said, only 8% is being part of the periphery. So we decided that we should motivate many people that are in this business to be part of the activity in the periphery, in the Galilee and the Negev itself, to build kind of infrastructure that on top of that, this activity would be would be elaborated in a way.
Dan Marom, besides being the Chief Strategist, you're also a lecturer at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. What concrete steps are being taken on the ground to realize the program's goals?
So we're making it much more than an idea. We want to make actions that will be concrete. And we acted upon 3 major pillars. The first is building a chain of innovation centers. We know that in order to create ecosystems of startups in the peripheral areas of Israel, we need to bring critical mass of engineers, researchers, business people, and the likes. So last week we launched the first in a series with Kinneret, Tzemach, and KKL in the northern part of Galilee, next to the Kinneret, and soon we'll launch more. The second is we're taking care of all the food chain, if I may, of becoming a tech entrepreneur or a tech leader. So we're starting with education, we're working with the military, we're giving all sorts of stipends to students, and we're working on the food chain of becoming a tech entrepreneur. And third, we are harnessing each and every advantage or asset of KKL. So the Jewish diaspora, the working with the government, working with all sorts of partners in order to make it happen.
Karine Bolton, you, among other things, are also an immigrant yourself from Michigan.
Yep.
How are you involving Jewish communities in the diaspora, especially given that we foresee an increase in Aliyah?
Yes. Well, as you can imagine, it's an interesting time right now. With the various economic turmoil that's happening, we didn't really know what to expect. But I'm happy to say that with the target audience that we are heading for, which I would like to mention is basically we want to involve donors, we want to involve people who are going to do investments, and we'd like to get New Olim, more of a targeted aliyah of professionals and high-tech people to come to these areas and be part of the movement that's going to build this whole vision. And what I want to say is that the Jewish communities have really still answered to the call. They're involved in what's called the Beit of Excellence, okay, and Houses of Opportunity. A matter of fact, JNF UK just now took on a massive investment into the House of Opportunities in Kiryat Malachi. And in the innovation centers, we have Germany, we have Australia, we have France, we have Italy. People are answering because it's important to them that the social equality or the closing of the gaps in socioeconomic gaps are really, really important, and they really want to be a part of this and see importance in this still, even in this day. And as you asked about the Aliyah, there is a rise. We're partners with Nefesh V'Nefesh, and there is about a 30 to 40% rise in interest in making Aliyah. People have seen that during this crisis, people felt very, very alone. And when they actually were on Zoom calls to Israel, they saw much more warmth and community and togetherness. And in addition, they looked at how Israel dealt with the crisis as opposed to the countries that they're living in. And they're more and more coming to the understanding that maybe Israel is a really wonderful place to live.
Thank you. And Yitzhak, you're also a former mayor of Afula. How has the coronavirus crisis, as Karine put it, impacted your program?
But before I answer your question, I would like to add to what Karine said regarding the relation between the state of Israel through KKL and diaspora Jews. Up until now, the traditional ties were based on donations, okay, and philanthropy. Now, what Israel 2040 offers to the Jewish communities around the world is a little bit different relations, which means we call it business philanthropy, meaning that it's more like an impact investment, meaning that we are trying to attract investors in the Jewish communities and through them in the business arena in their communities, which might not be necessarily Jewish, and to offer them the possibility to make business in Israel, a lucrative business in Israel, mainly in the Galilee and the Negev, on the infrastructure that we are building through this very interesting program. Regarding to your question, obviously the corona has impacted everything, and including our program. But I must say, from some angles, for the better.
How so?
How so? Because when we are trying to attract businesses to start opening sites or to be active in the periphery, it's a little bit difficult because the first thing that they ask you is, do we have a manforce over there, manpower over there, the staff that we need in order to act. And now, since remote work and more and more people from the high-tech industry are working at home, okay? So there's no problem that someone will hire people living and working from home, from Tzfat, from Kiryat Shmona, from Netivot, or whatever, and it doesn't matter where the employer is situated. So this is one thing. The other thing is that we adopted in a way, and now that we understand that the world seeks solutions for the challenges that the coronavirus has all opened to us, and we are now concentrating on technologies that relates and can solve and assist the world, not only Israel, the world, working with this pandemic. For example, encouraging the telemedicine, for example. This is something that, people, a doctor can give all kind of services. He doesn't have to meet his patient and this kind of thing. So this is one example that we are concentrating now, and we are supporting other initiatives and startups, okay, that are developing technologies that has to do with the coronavirus.
Dan, picking up on what Yitzhak just said, how are the challenges faced by Israel 2040 relevant to other countries?
As an academic and a practitioner based in the Hebrew University's business school, I look at this challenge with trying to bring together theory and action. And I think that the problem of unequal opportunity is common to many countries. Hopefully we'll cooperate with others to think, to act, and to develop methodologies how to develop and bring equal opportunities to peripheral areas, creating this critical mass, bringing the startup nation vision to other places, not only in Israel. I do hope that soon we launch cooperations with others and we invite all of them to work together on this challenge.
And Karine, how do you see the coronavirus pandemic affecting the organization's goals and your attempt to realize these goals?
Right. Well, as I mentioned shortly before, obviously we are seeing a change in the economic landscape, and nobody knows where it's going. But in my opinion, it's a very interesting period because I work also with the European Union, and I'm looking for private foundations, for grants. And what I'm finding very interesting is that the whole world, like as Dan said, is dealing with these issues. And for some reason, everyone seems to understand that coming out of this crisis, that we have to take care of issues, not only of urgent healthcare issues, but that we have to take care of the social equality issues. And so our projects are really falling into a theme of what is moving and where people are willing to give and willing to support and be involved. In addition to that, I would say that I'm not sure with investment or business starting, but as Itzik pointed out, you know, there's a lot more opportunity now. I think instead of us being afraid and just thinking everything is going to shut down, we got to keep being creative. We got to keep looking on how we can reinvent and see, because we understand the basic common thread of what we're trying to do with Israel 2040 is really something important and really something good, and we have to push it forwards and have to find ways, and I think people around the world are going to answer to that.
Itzik, you want to sum
if
up?
If I may add again, one of the things that we are doing while building the infrastructure of the ecosystem of innovation in the periphery, one of the things that we are doing is working on a digital platform which will be able to offer to potential investors in Israel and around the world all kind of opportunities, business opportunities that are concentrated in the Galilee and the Negev, and there are some very, very interesting. So soon we will be, it will be on air, and we will be able to be in touch with these investors to offer them and to offer them our assistance also in order to be able to evaluate these opportunities.
Dan, final comments from you?
I'm thrilled. I think that this challenge is a major opportunity. It's a major opportunity for 2040 because people want to live in, well, to have better quality of life, because people understood that they can work from far away, because there are lots of business opportunities that are rising through, unfortunately, this crisis. And I do hope, and I do see already, that these challenges are becoming a huge opportunity for people, for new settlers, and for 2040.
And Karine?
I think they've said it all. I really think it's a wonderful program, and I think that with all the different elements that are involved, I think it's on the way for success.
Well, thank you very much, Dan Marom, Yitzhak Miron, and Karine Bolton. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Pleasure.